Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan has served as ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee for years. But with Republicans taking control of the House of Representatives in January, Jim Jordan is set to become Judiciary Committee chairman, one of the most powerful positions in our government. He says real accountability is coming, and we're very happy to have Congressman Jim Jordan with us tonight. Congressman, I watched the press conference that you conducted talking about what's up for a real inquiry and investigation into accountability for government agencies. Can you assure us you guys are serious about this?
Yeah, good to be with you, Governor. Yeah, we got to be serious about it because, you know, we live in the greatest country in history. America is the greatest nation ever. But it's not America if you have a Justice Department that is not treating people equally under the law. And I would argue that's what we have now. And I tell folks, you don't need to take my opinion or my words for it. Listen to what 14 FBI agents who've come to us, the Judiciary Committee, as whistleblowers and told us about what's going on. One whistleblower told us that at the highest levels of the FBI, the Washington field office, it is rotted at its core. Now think about that language. And so this is why we have to do the investigation, because step one into changing their behavior and beginning to hold people accountable and to make sure that the Justice Department is actually treating people equally under our law is to get the facts out there, get the truth out there so the American people knows exactly what their government's been up to, and specifically the Justice Department has been up to. So we're committed to doing this because this is I think, at the heart of what our great country is really all about.
Even Christopher Wray, the FBI director, acknowledged that over 70% of the acts of violence since the Dobbs decision reversing Roe v. Wade, 70% of them have been against the pro-life community. 107 pro-life centers have been attacked, firebombed, vandalized. I don't know of the FBI doing much about that, but they go and arrest a 87-year-old grandmother, concentration camp survivor, with armed weapons. And I'm just asking myself, what is up with a government that would do that?
Yeah, and they kick in the door of a pro-life leader outside of Philadelphia, arrest him in front of his wife and 7 children, when the local judge and local law enforcement said he did nothing wrong. The FBI did that. So frankly, that's probably someone we want to talk to. Who's the U.S. attorney in that district that, you know, we're putting together a list of folks we think are important for us to bring in for a conversation, for a deposition, or what we call transcribed interviews. I kind of like to talk, I think, to that person, find out what was the basis of that. Meanwhile, as you point out, Governor, after the leaked opinion, the Dobbs opinion was leaked, and we had all this activity going on, churches, crisis pregnancy centers, and of course, what was going on outside of Supreme Court justices' homes with the design being to intimidate them and change the decision that was leaked. It seems nothing happens there. So this is wrong. And you couple it with other things. The first whistleblower who came to us, the very first one, talked about the FBI and what was going on with investigating moms and dads who were showing up at school board meetings advocating for their kids. I mean, think about that. One mom was investigated because she was in the group Moms for Liberty. Well, for goodness sake, that's probably half the country that think the way that lady does. So this is wrong, and we know it's wrong. We know that over 24 parents were investigated by the FBI. So this is something we think we just have to get into and make sure that we, by getting into it, hopefully cause it to stop.
Congressman, it's not isolated. I mean, this is encompassing not just the investigation of parents of pro-life people. This is a law enforcement community, Department of Justice, FBI, that investigated the elected president, the sitting president, and a former president, all the same person, sought to keep him from getting elected, sought to disrupt his presidency, and continued to make false accusations that he was in collusion with Russia, filed false documents. I mean, this is serious stuff. This is not just pranks in a college fraternity. This is trying to essentially stage a coup d'etat against an elected president. So I know there are some Republicans that are saying, I don't want you guys to get into all these investigations and act like the Democrats. I don't want you to act like the Democrats, but by gosh, Congressman, I do want you to do the investigations. I want our country to operate as a constitutional republic and not some banana republic.
Plus, it's our constitutional duty. We're going to take an oath of office on January 3rd when the new Congress is sworn in. And part of our oath is to the Constitution. Part of that duty is to make sure we do the oversight so the country gets the truth and the facts about what their government's been up to. And I had a colleague, Matt Gaetz, had a great line, an accurate line in a committee hearing a couple months ago. He said, when is the FBI just going to stay out of the elections and let we the people decide? In 2016, they spied on President Trump's campaign. In 2018, it was the Mueller investigation. In 2020, they were part of the effort to suppress the Hunter Biden story just days before the presidential election. And then, of course, in the 2022 midterms, 91 days before the election, they raid the home of former President Trump. I mean, maybe it'd be nice if they just stayed out of it and let the country, let the people decide who we want leading us, who we want representing us. Just stay out of the election process like you're supposed to, and let we, the people, decide who's going to be in our government.
In addition to your chairing the Judiciary Committee, you're also on the Oversight Committee, which is going to be the other critically important committee looking at some of the finances, not of Hunter Biden, but Joe Biden. And I'm so tired of the press saying, well, why are we investigating Hunter Biden? You really aren't. You're investigating whether Hunter Biden's business activities with the Communist Chinese Party actually involved the sitting president of the United States, Joe Biden. I think that's a pretty serious thing to know.
Yeah, it sure is. When you're, I mean, as you point out, Governor, when you're talking about China and Russia, our adversaries, and all the business dealings that the president's family, and it wasn't just his son involved in this business operation, it was his brother as well. And there were 150 suspicious activity reports, SAR, suspicious activity reports, and these are reports on suspicious banking activity. We've only seen 2. Now, here's the interesting thing. The Biden administration has changed the protocols and policy and process for people to see these suspicious activity reports. Used to be congressional committees could have access to that and see that information until the Biden administration. So they've changed the policy. So the committee staff and committee has only seen 2 of those. Frankly, we'd like to see the other 148 because the 2 we've seen, pretty darn suspicious activity going on, money being transferred from multiple accounts, different things. And it's so much so that J.P. Morgan sent us the suspicious activity report to the Treasury Department. So this, I think, just raises all kinds of concerns. First, the Biden administration has not complied with any request that Mr. Comer and the Oversight Committee have sent to him. Second, they changed the policy. And now we learned this week that they've set up this special operation that they're going to attack those of us who are trying to get the truth to the American people.
How frustrating is it that the press seems to ignore this story? They even take the White House at its word, who released a statement saying this is all debunked conspiracy theories. And that's what you get from the press.
Yeah.
It ought to be concerned about this and curious about it.
Yeah, you would think a real press would do that, but the mainstream press doesn't seem to. I would bet at that press conference, that's probably the first time the Washington press corps actually heard the facts. It's probably the first time they actually kind of had to report on some of the facts. And my guess is it's probably also the first time that they realized, wow, this really isn't Russian disinformation like they told us 2 years ago.
Congressman, I am looking forward. I'm going to pop some popcorn, get a good seat, and watch these hearings. I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you are where you are and chairing that committee, because I've got confidence that you're not going to let these guys get away with it. Thank you very much for joining us, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Same to you, and thanks for all the good work you're doing for the country.
You can learn more about Congressman Jim Jordan online when you head over to Huckabee.tv. We have links to all of the Congressman's social media, his website, and the work that he's doing, not just for the people of Ohio, which he certainly is, but frankly for all Americans as the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I hope you will now. The button is just below this video, and there's a little bell next to it. If you click on those, YouTube will reluctantly start letting you know when we've got a new video uploaded.